Hey everybody, it's nice to be practicing social distancing with 2 feet.
That's okay, I'm okay. I'm back.
It's great to be here. Thank you to Brand Innovators for giving us great food and just an absolutely great summit. We're going to be talking about Trend Watch and innovation. I learned how to pronounce your name, I guess. It's actually Ciara.
It's very impressive. I don't mind.
I'm sorry about that. It's not Marcou, but that's okay. So why don't we have
Sure. Hi everyone. Great to be here. And my name is Dilley. As you can tell very quickly, the accent isn't local. I actually am Irish, real Irish. I've been in the US 7 years, and I have the absolute joy of looking after the healthier snacking brands at Frito, which is a part of PepsiCo, usually based in Dallas.
And I'm Marcou. I'm with adPlanet, and we are top of points per kiosk in the 4,000 grocery stores across the country. So you can complain, see ads, many agencies, the economies across the country to raise people. So I'm great to do the thank them first.
After that, you should have told me that, like, let's be honest. You know, like the first, mine is very fun. Yours is much more fun, but I have to speak 5 languages. The best is Irish, which is really not peaceful, but beautiful. And I'm still working on my Italian. My German has been bad. I've been there for years. So yeah, trying to make the most of it in Texas.
So she writes better choice brands. It's associate from that favorite Nigerian special. And there's a very serious reason for that. I'm actually probably one of none in America that's allergic to potatoes. So in Ireland, I say, I always say to my friends, that's why I was born Jewish and not Irish. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. She has amazing experience in lots of different areas. Before 20 Pepsi, she had a great run in Dublin with Kellogg as well as Campbell's. So I really want you to describe the journey. How you got here, not necessarily where you were, where you started your marketing career.
I did law in German school, and I didn't really want to be a lawyer. And somebody told me there were good jobs going into Diageo in marketing, so I sort of went through the interview process. And my dad was thrilled because he got free Guinness and he got to work at James's Gate, so it all worked out really well. When I turned up on day one, I said, "What is this marketing stuff?" But anyway, I had an amazing first 6 years in Diageo, which is still, I would argue, the best brand company in the world. And I learned so much from them. And when I moved on to campus, it was really to try and grow a little bit more, get more commercial experience. And I think that's been sort of my career trajectory has always been trying to get more incrementality along with diversity. But at the same time, I think that's even more now the career path that so many of us are taking. It's not just stay in one place or the other. So I kept doing that. I spent 5 years in campus. 5 years I sort of went behind and get the itch, and then I could go again. So I did that. And then I missed big brand. I went back to Kellogg and I went to Kellogg and I ended up innovation there. And I remember being going there the first day. It was for Europe as well. And I thought, I'm going to have the Spanish eat for breakfast. How am I going to do this? But you just put out your marketing skills there. It's not that too complex. Learn about consumers. You spend time in the marketplace. And it was an amazing experience, particularly the cross-cultural side of things. So when I went to work in Pepsi in New York for a global role there, it was just really just taking those learnings and applying them to a new category, chips, and to a wider global marketplace. But the big thing for me then was getting experience in North America. You know, I've worked for American companies, but I've never worked in the US. So they sent me to Texas. I said, I'll go for 2 years and that's it. Coming back. 4 years there now, I'm really enjoying the experience. And it's just such an incredible marketplace. I mean, the US is just so diverse. The growth is so interesting. So you can really so far.
That's great. Yeah. In my former life, sorry for the color there. I was a brand manager as well. It's a great experience for what I do now, which is working with marketers. It's going to be changing that much data then. Let's just a little bit about purpose. And many brands define themselves by purpose.
And I'll be honest up front here, and I think for two or previous colleagues who know me well here, I am a crazy advocate for purpose, and I have been for a long time, even before it became maybe so buzzy as it is at the moment, and even so debated as it has been in the last few weeks. Because, I truly believe I get up to work in the morning because I want to to do your business to make a difference. And I'm really lucky that I get to do that in the company that you want. Now, it is a choice. You choose whether you want to go with it. You choose how you want your brand, the direction you want it to go. But the thing that I find exciting is that more and more consumers are saying to us, we want you to do it too. And I think as brand owners, we have been traditionally, we take a lot of company like mine, and look like narratives for getting into the game. It can feel a bit scary. You're waiting for the naysayers to say, who are you, PepsiCo, to save the world? But we're not actually trying to save the world, but we have huge resources, and why wouldn't we use them for good? And by the way, we have a workforce who just beyond to do this type of work. And there's an amazing study from anybody who's interested by Home Porter Valley. It's about 2 years old now, and it really lays out the case for why consumers are saying, we need companies and brands to start to lean into societal issues. Because the people we used to trust, like the church and the politicians and financial institutions, these are the people we trust that much anymore. And I say, we want you to do it, we like you, you're our favourites, but do it in a way that is genuine. Do it in a way that fits your brand, and also that your people are genuinely engaged in. You don't do it as a one-hit wonder. Do it over a period of time. And some stuff we can do today. We've done a number of big brands like Doritos and done a lot of work like Black Artists, Buffalo's, from James Foundation. And my little brands do an awful lot of it because when you're working in the better choice space, you certainly have to do it and you also have more permission. So we do a huge amount of work with others, we do a lot of work with sustainability, and I like to think we're humble enough, we're smaller, my brands are smaller to go, we're on a journey, we're learning. And the thing that I think also makes us particularly successful is we don't do it on our own. We think people who know more about this stuff, whether it's the partners or the foundations that we give to, or whether it's the experts, the best agencies in the world in this space. For conspiracy of love, shameless plug for activism by Bobby Jones. Those guys are a dream to work with, and they've got to our hand as we go this journey. So I know Paul Coleman, ex-Unilever, will follow some. I have a huge amount of time. And he got a lot of negative press recently, big debate in the press, but purpose doesn't drive his own, purpose does. I'm a believer. I am an absolutely optimistic believer. It drives business results, and not going to stop me.
The next question is going to be business. So we've got a lot of so innovators and money. How do you really through this and how do you business to go see them?
I mean, the first thing I'd say is if anybody asks you for the traditional metrics on purpose, tell them where to go. Because, I remember a few years ago people saying, well, give me a business case for more women in the workforce. Is that really a question? Like, do I actually have to answer? And God love us, you would trot out all the stats that said, here's why it's good to have more women, here's why it's good. And now when anybody asks me a question, I do tell them where to go. And on purpose, I'm getting close. But I would say I'm a shareholder, and I also feel very strongly about my role as a leader to support my colleagues, the people who are driving our trucks and who are selling our, products in the dingiest of stores in the most challenging circumstances, particularly the last 2 years. So I don't flippantly do things to say this, but I do believe it drives results. I'm going to give you one example that was so super close to my heart. I'm very involved in female diversity, and it's been hard to find initiatives that really turn the dial. We've tried a lot of things, lots of companies have tried. And one of the things that I really learned from AdPlanet team was this idea of combining, what can you do in society where you can make a difference? What is your internal resources that can do that? Which of your brands can do it? Because we have brands in every home in America, and it's really counts out to make a difference in driving like sweet happiness. So we have this beautiful black brand called Stacey's Potato Chips. We bought it less than 20 years ago from a woman in Boston, Stacey Madison. He's still one of our best friends. So that says a lot. She's still a close to brand. And we've set up a program supporting female families. And over the last 3 years alone, we've given over $1 million. This year, we do a program where we have 10 women every year, and we mentor them, we give them financial support. But we also give them access to resources like the images we have, like They get time with Amazon. They get time with web designers. They get to develop social media programs for them. I mean, these are women who often it's the first time they've ever done something like this. This year, 90% of the cohort are women of color, and they are just the most amazing women we've ever worked with, met, etc. Every single one of them. Also, this year we partnered with Reese Witherspoon. Now, we're a tiny brand. I have no right to be partnering with Reese Witherspoon. But somehow I convinced the powers that be that this is a good thing, not just for the brand, but also for the company. And she has been amazing. That's one of the interesting things about purpose, about the role of celebrity, and we talk about that all day long, and how interesting that can be quite the idea. Stacey's brand has never been growing faster. We've got a listing in Walmart. Walmart go in the back shelves. Like, whatever. We've got a full listing into Dilley. It's going to be about $100 million for a brand that is only $200 million. And we got it there because the buyer knows Stacey's Mars Bill. So whenever anybody asks me about purpose and how to make this attack, I give that example. And then I have a whole other list. But I give that one as my favorite one and say that you show me what purpose doesn't have. The final thing I'd say to you is the team who work on my brand is the most engaged group of individuals I've found in our whole company because they love to come to them. They get to make a difference. And I encourage you to one of the find that purpose, and I will give you all the resources to make it happen. So in an era of it's really hard to find people, it's hard to retain people. That is one of the things from a employee retention perspective. I think you might want to think about it. So I'm passionate.
Yes, it's very helpful. With all the things that you do in the teaching curriculum, know about the brands you actually do.
Sometimes my boss does go, and then you do the brand stuff. No, I can go full down stuff I do that. So I look at the brand like some chips, steaks, you can have veggie snacks, bakes, simply. Corners, which is our new acquisition, super fast growing brand, and they are food snacks. So as a company, it's an interesting journey because you know us as cheese, Doritos, Lay's, little bit of Super Bowl brands. And I like to think we're the brands of the future and we're only getting started. And I also think that it's never been more important for a company like ours to brands like that now. So and Americans still love Cheetos and Doritos, We're bigger, but they still love it. So we have to be very conscious of the evolution of the portfolio to meet consumer needs. But our brands are going to meet this company.
So I spent many years in the this business, working in gyms. It's many of the brands that we work with are the trends in the city in the US regarding helping run this, eating habits, especially with the brands. They're not vegetables, but they're better for you.
Yeah. And I think what consumers think like previously in here really last year, so many different memories. So I mean, I think the thing that was interesting for me, I came to the US 7 years ago. Myself, I worked in Kellogg Innovation before that in Europe, and the push on renovation, reduction of the mass foods, sugar, oils, etc., and the introduction of new offerings was really high on the agenda. I came to the US, nobody's asking us to sell more healthy snacks around here. East and West Coast, of course, a different story. So my point about needing to understand what the consumer is really important because not every consumer is shopping in Whole Foods in Malibu. The majority are nowhere near that. So, but it is so interesting. There's no doubt that the industry health and wellness is accelerating, and we like to talk about it like it's democratizing because there is access to more. There's interest, there's education, there's access more and more to health and wellness. And I think the last 2 years has just accelerated that because now I don't have to pay a gym membership. I can maybe pay online Zoom class, which is an awful lot cheaper. And the same in the snacking area. The thing to remember though in some of these areas is that often the drivers are different for consumers, particularly we know for consumers of middle and lower income and consumers of color. And they're the consumers that have been underserved not the wellness the most. Let's be no doubt about that. And we take that really, really seriously because we don't want to be a portfolio of brands that only certain people can only certain people can access. So there's a lot going on in our portfolio around where do I buy these products? Because often consumers of lower middle income will be living in areas that isn't even a traditional supermarket, but their local bodega doesn't have enough business, or it's too expensive, or they're afraid to buy something. Here, maybe your own taste nice, and I've wasted my money. So we are trying, super humble, but we're trying to get on that journey to make sure that these happen sensitive.
That's great. So let's shift gears a little bit. We've been talking about innovation the other day, new technologies, and everything. Business, part of media business. What's the piece we see in innovation? How does innovation work with innovation?
I mean, the traditional, my experience was for a long time nutrition, innovation, product, packaging, flavors, new formats, do lots of great things, renovation of products, and cool new sustainable packaging, this launch compostable. It sounds like a high-speed train, but it's really good for the environment, so please bear with us. If you'd like to go to Whole Foods and buy it off the path of the brand, please support it. Plug your ears. It's the cost of environmental progress. But traditionally, you know how we did it, and we do a lot of that in Frito because there's flavors and of innovation. The snacking world, like we don't take it too seriously either. But I also think what's getting interesting, and I think the last 2 years we can find some good element to accelerate concept innovation in the platforms that we use, the media platforms, how we communicate to our consumers. I mean, as marketers, we literally cannot keep with the amount of new options out there. And I do think that links to the commentary you did about the traditional return on investment, etc. And for many of you in the audience who may be thinking, I've got an idea, I've got to sell to people, I've got a technology, etc. You're going to have to help us because we can be often very traditional in our how is this going to give us a return? How is this better than my media investment with Instagram, for example? We're going to have to learn to take some risks in innovation, and we are doing, but it takes time. And I think that is the final point for the innovation culture. I mean, it's the biggest and most exciting thing. We think of it, how are we going to excite our employees and colleagues? How are we going to work in a more agile, responsive way? I remember 5 years ago, we started using Zoom because we started this practice of responsible fixing it on us. I could not get people to come on camera. They would refuse point blank to come on camera. It wouldn't even flat for me. I mean, it's like absolutely no way you're not using it. And now, in the last 2 years, the adoption to all these new technologies is so quick. So if there's ever been a time of innovation, it's now. But I think it has to come in all areas. It can't just come in product, it just come in a platform. It has to come in a culture.
Media networks, technology,
because I have baby friends, if I call them. So, for me, and if there are any of the entrepreneurs out there probably thinking, gosh, you think your awareness is low, one of mine, but my awareness is tiny on these brands. I'm sure when I listed off some of those brands, you'll be able to So, our awareness is low, as penetration is low. So, more and more, we are investing in basics that we're starting to need to. And I think the difference nowadays is they all need to make more to continue to find. What you do is try to consume messages. They go, I'm doing a campaign, put this, she probably doesn't go on a coin box, but anyway. But you know what I mean? We can tie our messaging on. And obviously the retailers have caught onto this as well, and they are highly engaged. All teams all around, and they're selling media. So it's just really interesting, particularly small brands.
Rational working with companies. Brainstorm machine to make things. So the fun,
The media in first place, and then what the retailers interest in doing. Because if it's smaller brands, you're always trying to find out to
So, it's a more you want to talk about with the female founders, the business runners.
There's two things in there. One is the area of diversity, and I couldn't be more passionate about eventually we want us to need to stand up in. And whether, I think it's in all areas of diversity, so whether it's in racial diversity, whether it's in minorities, whether it's in LGBTQ, I mean, now more than ever, it is incumbent upon us to be. And I feel like it's so important as well. There are so many ways in your business you can get there. I talked about that earlier, but I mean even more because traditional DE&I is not working as quickly and as hard as it needs to be. And to be fair to HR, it's not fair to leave it to HR because the biggest changes in companies will happen through business. So if we can do the stuff that I talked about where you can marry your initiatives with your business results, that's magic. And I think putting your money in your mouth is hugely important. So every single production we've done on my brand this year has been a production house that has founders of color, founders, members of the LGBTQ community, our directors, our production leads, every single one. And anytime somebody brought us a company that was not part of our diverse list, we would say, go find somebody because they exist. And it doesn't take effort to find them. But if we don't make the effort, if we don't say at that time, no, go find me somebody else. No, go find me somebody who's diverse. No, go find me somebody who's working in space, which is going to happen. So it's just a huge passion behind it. It's so lovely. If people say to me, why do you stay in big corporate world? Why don't you go off and work with all these founders you love? And I go, because with the resources we have, I can make more of a difference by using those resources and doing these things versus being because of the vulnerabilities.
Thank you for sharing something that you're very extraordinarily proud of, and maybe one of the biggest successes of PepsiCo. We already mentioned several of these, but
The first thing I found was truly I got it in Walmart because it's been a brand. I launched my first social media. It is my day, it is my journey. From a work perspective, I would say being the underdog is the tough part, but when it comes good, it's amazing. So a tiny one in December this year, we won a massive global award in Pepsi, where our little South Stack team won the best strategy. You would think we had won the World Cup, the Rugby Six Nations, Wimbledon, whatever. But all those sports tournaments together, like it was like all of this is up into one. And for us, it's just lovely to never forget those moments make difference. We really love to for the team.
if there was a small brand here in product, it would be their best instrumental pitching.
That's interesting. Well, we have a ventures team based in LA. So Daniel Brooks heads up our ventures team. So that's always a good initial in because if you're interested in investment. If you're a female founder, you know great female founders, we'll be launching Status Rise again this summer. So that's another great game. So I think startups and our company can work really well together. And it doesn't always have to be a main part of the company. I feel like we can then almost even more value through whether it's venture support, mentorship, access to resources. You'll find me
Versus short term.
Shark Tank. I am not a fan. I have to be honest. I think there is another way for people to go forward their businesses. There's a more empathetic, beautiful way. And maybe we get ready to do that with us someday.
Great for product placements. Anything else before we wrap up?
If there's any questions or thoughts or people ran out, say hi.
So, questions?
You mentioned winning with some of these communities and spending the next with some losses and maybe finding out maybe it doesn't taste good. How are you communicating to lose the need to these communities? What is your media work? What is your play to make sure people believe in it?
Great question because you can't just do what we did before. You can't just throw stuff out there and expect that all these different communities will adapt to different things and the norm that we've been working. So a lot of it is through multicultural media, a lot of it is through working with Black-owned media networks, a lot of it is developing content for those networks, a lot of it is working in bilingual, a lot of it is looking at ingredients. I mean, simple things like looking at intensity of flavors for certain foods, the specific ingredient that resonates with certain ingredients. So I think we have a long way to go in our education on multicultural awareness. You know, I say really happens across ethnicities, work from that journey, on that journey, they're committed to it, and we're also working an awful lot behind the scenes with community groups, because it's not just about the traditional how do we sell more products to these communities, it's also about how do we support these communities where they are. So we've got this awesome initiative, really called Food for Good, which works in each of those communities, providing us food meals to children. But what it also does is it kind of seeks to understand what are the challenges the community is facing, where there's access to actually freedom. How can you, I mean, you have to scale finding. So there's a lot of that goes on in the background that we don't talk about. We just do, but it's also a super important source of learning and very humbling source. This is where it's really at. So before you try and go and sell a certain product in a Walmart, start here as well. And a lot of listening work, a lot of empathy work, much more work with diverse consumers they've ever done before to walk in their shoes. And that's a hard one, you know, at senior level. So when you walk into our Pepsi board, it doesn't look like those communities. And it's very important. I'm sure the board say with me saying to them, you know, we don't walk in those shoes. And then every time I'll try and bring a consumer video, bring a quote from what we've heard recently every single time, because I'm not the expert either. I'm on a learning journey. I'm not
Thank you so much for sharing. You have a similar question. How to change the behavior in terms of feeding where it's kind of a generation of where's the environment so that individuals are looking to participate and to be able to reach people who are starting to look at the
yesterday I was on the call with our government affairs group in Washington, and they sit on an amazing program that's all about how do we encourage Americans to lead healthier lives. And they're helping us look at everything from, where we show up in the community, how we communicate, which meetings we use, what meetings are relevant. So where are Hispanic consumers at this moment in time? Where are African American mothers learning about implements for their children? What can we support in schools? But how can we be more responsible about the products we put in schools? Because that's on us. There are things we can do. It's one thing that's very important to be supporting community initiatives, and we can help that a lot with our resourcing. But it's also to work for talk. So in my portfolio, we have a whole range of products that meet the high levels of in school, particularly in the Northeast from the strictest. Because who am I to say, we're going to see where you are, we're going to sell more products to you. By the way, I'm just going to put the right products in school vending machines. So it's a journey. It's a journey. I'll be honest and humble about that, but there is a lot we're trying to do. But we will never succeed if we don't do it with the consumers and the communities and tell them what to do with this. Don't tell us what we should do.
I can arrange that one up. I heard you're sponsoring the female founders program. Can you tell us a little bit something about
that? Yes. So we have amazing partners in this area. One of them is the female quotient, led by Shelly Zallis. If you haven't heard of Shelly Zallis, she is a force of nature. It's amazing. And she does this great thing at the Water House the next 3 days. So we'll be there on Sunday with 2 of our female founders. One of the ways we elevate them, so we're bringing them in along with 2 other female founders talking about the journey. So thank you so much for mentioning that. I really appreciate it.
I love it.